Hey guys, Kudou-kun here. An annual tradition on my channel has been to look at anime-inspired Vita games every year, and I figured it'd be kinda cool if I started off this new channel with this one. The Vita's not the most popular handheld system, but it does fill its niche quite nicely by having a very good selection of JRPGs and anime-inspired games every year. So every year I collect up a small list of the ones I have my eyes on, and we take a look. For those who don't know, the following list will be ordered by release date rather than best to worst or worst to best. There is no particular order other than release date. And because I'm doing this so late in the year, a lot of what I'm about to talk about has come out already. So without further ado, this is Kudou's top 12. Oh, wait, not that one? This is Kudou's top 16. Wait, are we not doing that one either? Wait a second, then how many are we doing? Oh god, why does it keep going up? You know, despite how well Pokemon is doing this year, its old rival Digimon actually came out of the gate swinging with a pretty great title at the beginning of the year. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth actually offers up a pretty new take on the old Digimon World series. Team-based battles, Shin Megami Tensei style exploration, new artwork, and above all else, PvP. Pokemon Sun and Moon are probably going to be really good, but I have a feeling Digimon absolutely murdered them when it comes to innovation. So it's time to put Pokemon Go down for a little bit and give Digimon another chance, kids. So an indie game called Kreutzler comes out, gives us 3D anime-inspired beat-em-up action. Fast forward a bit and here we are with Kreutzler Sigma, which is pretty much the same game with some added stuff. Beat-em-up games are a pretty fun thing to just pull out of your pocket and play for a bit, and this one looks pretty darn good. The game's got a free trial out, and it's also dirt cheap right now, so there's really no excuse not to check this game out if you're interested in 3D beat-em-ups. You should even come back and let me know if it's any good. You know, speaking of 3D beat-em-ups, a new Senran Kagura came out this year. Senran Kagura is a marvelous, very underrated beat-em-up style game. I was first introduced to it last year on the Vita, and honestly, it's one of my most played games. Now, the game is a little fan-servicey. Okay, it's very, very fan-servicey. But I'm tired of this idea that if a game has sexualized characters, it just automatically cannot be a good game, and you should be ashamed of yourself for playing. Senran Kagura is a well-built and very fun game, and you should get into it with pride. Not because it's a fat fest, but because it's a well-built and fun game and it deserves it. Alright guys, I'm gonna pitch you something here. Imagine you're playing an anime-inspired game where you are trying to defeat one guy. This one guy has 1 trillion health. Your goal in this game is to figure out how to deal 1 trillion hit points of damage to this one guy before he reaches his destination and kills everyone. Yes, this game exists, and yes, this game is Trillion God of Destruction. Because honestly, when you have 1 trillion health, like, what else do you define yourself by, really? Do you think you have what it takes to take out the tankiest boss in all of gaming history? I hope you got some time to kill. Those 3DS kids might have their Etrian odysseys, but we've got games like Demon Gaze. Demon Gaze seem to nail it with the dungeon crawler RPG fans, and they just continue the trend with yet another good game. If you've played Demon Gaze and you're looking for another dungeon crawler RPG to scratch the itch, then Stranger of Sword City is the game you should already own. For those of you who may have missed it, the Demon Gaze hype continued 3 months ago on April 26th. So you shouldn't be a stranger to this fun little dungeon romp on the Vita. To follow up our traditional dungeon romper, we have ourselves a traditional RPG. Reigigant is a traditional RPG through and through with some frankly very impressive graphics. Honestly, there's not a whole lot else I can say about this game. If you're in the mood for a beautiful traditional JRPG, then grab yourself some chips and get ready to select that attack command like nobody's business. For those who don't know this already, I am a huge Hyperdimension Neptunia fan. That being said, I am very, very behind on all of these spin-off games. Despite this fact, we have yet another one on our shoulders, delivered by everybody's favorite Wendy Lee, Blanc. For those of you that are out of the loop, what's going on is Hyperdimension Neptunia is trying out a bunch of different gameplay styles, and they're sort of borrowing elements from other popular games. We just got done with their take on Senran Kagura called Hyperdimension Neptunia U, and now it looks like we've got our take on Onechanbara Bikini Samurai Squad. I'm not necessarily opposed to all these spin-off games, but please guys, give my wallet a chance to breathe. Not even done with Hyper Devotion Noir yet. Last Blade 2 Heart of the Samurai is pretty much just a port of a really old game with some slightly enhanced graphics. So why am I even bothering covering this? Because it looks freaking great! Seriously, how did I never hear about this game? The entire pitch for this game is, imagine if Samurai Showdown were even better than Samurai Showdown. But how do you even, what do you even say to something like that? The only response I can think of is, where do I enter my credit card information? Speaking of remakes of classic games, let's move on to one that I've actually heard of before. Odin Sphere was a masterpiece on the PS2, but chances are you already know that. Well, believe it or not, there are some people who never even played Odin Sphere. In fact, there are people who have played Dragon's Crown but haven't played Odin Sphere. For those of you that are questioning the relevance of what I just said, yes, it is relevant. Do not disagree with me. Odin Sphere was a masterpiece, and I think this is a great time for it to have come back. A drop-dead gorgeous side-scroller RPG, and if you haven't played it, then you really need to rectify that problem. With its great story and its absolutely dizzying number of character classes and options, this game should have you satisfied for quite a long time. If you've already played the original Odin Sphere, then, well, good, fine, you get to play it again. There. Sheesh. Guys, another Zero Escape game came out a couple of weeks ago. The glory of another Zero Escape game is upon us, and it isn't huge news. That is a travesty. Now, this is not a jumping in point for new people of the series, but if you haven't picked up the series already, then go back, play the other two games in the series, and then come join us. For those of you that have missed it so far, let me see if I can put it into perspective. The ending of the last game had all of its fans in an uproar, not because it was so bad like Mass Effect 3, but because it was way too good. We've been on pins and needles for this game for years, and I cannot possibly explain to you how hyped I am. The premise is, 9 people get trapped, they have to play a game to make it out alive. The cool thing is, they throw philosophy and scientific theory at you in an engaging and fun way. The puzzles are also really tough and really satisfying. These kids are over here like, Professor Layton, and I'm over here like, you Professor Layton kids don't even know what a puzzle is yet. You come play my game, and so help me God if you switch it to easy in the middle of a puzzle. What you need to do is go spend some of those hint coins on 999 and Virtue's Last Reward, and then come play Zero Time Dilemma with the rest of us. So a game came out a long time ago called Final Fantasy Adventures. Little did we all know back then that was not in fact a Final Fantasy game, but the very first game in the Mana series. They're bringing it back with this beautiful rendition of the very first Mana game they're calling Adventures of Mana, because they decided to finally get it right this time. I wanted to cover this game because of all of the old RPG series that you expect to come back with a remake, the Mana series is not very high on my list. So let's show them some love, guys, especially if you never got the chance to check out the original Final Fantasy Adventures. AW Phoenix Festa is apparently based on an anime that's out right now, but I don't recognize it, so I can't really comment on the anime itself. What I can say, though, is it's very rare for an anime-inspired game based on a real anime to actually really impress me. And you know, Phoenix Festa looks pretty darn good. If you happen to be a fan of the anime that this game is based on, then here you go, there's a pretty awesome game going along with it. And who knows, maybe if the game does really well, then the anime will pick up too, and people like me will have actually heard of it. All joking aside, guys, it does look like a pretty sweet game, so if you've got room in your library for just one more 3D anime-inspired beat-em-up, then this is probably a good game to look at. You might even get into a new anime series through it. On that same note, Attack on Titan game next month. Woo! I didn't even know Attack on Titan was relevant anymore, but I will say that the anime does have a very good premise for a game. Swing around on giant grapple gun hook shots that come out of your waist, and slash gigantic monsters on the net. Yes, please. Yes, please. I don't know if they're trying to rebuild the hype back up for a second season, or if they are trying to keep the hype alive, or what they're trying to do. But what I can say is this looks like a pretty darn sweet game. See, I want to be more excited for God's Eater 2, but the number one thing on my mind is, holy cow, yeah, it's about time, you jerks! God's Eater isn't even relevant in Japan anymore. For those of you that don't know what God's Eater is, imagine Monster Hunter with the anime cranked to 11. You also have a shape-shifting sword that turns into a shield or a gun. You also have customizable bullets that can do almost anything. Heck, in retrospect, God's Eater was probably a lot better than Monster Hunter, but just didn't get the praise that it deserved. I'm glad that God's Eater 2 is coming out at the end of August, so it doesn't compete too much with the people who are going to be playing the new Monster Hunter. So when you're all done with Monster Hunter Generations, you might want to get your God Eater primed. It's an experience I don't think you'll regret. Okay guys, last actual anime game we're going to look at today. Psychopaths is something that I've been meaning to get around to watching, and then I just kind of never did, and now there's a game coming out about it. So here's the thing, I'm honestly not even all that interested in this game, but it's been being pushed like crazy, okay? NIS America really wants people to buy this game. And that makes me kind of curious, like I really want to check this game out, even though I don't really know what the anime is about. I can't even see what the gameplay's like, because it's really tough to find gameplay of this game. But, I mean, who knows? NIS hasn't really let us down in the past, so I don't really see a reason to doubt them now. Let's all check it out and see what's going on. Wait a second, they're localizing another Criminal Girls? That game about torturing and molesting high schoolers until they learn new spells and stuff? Caused one of the biggest gaming controversy crap storms of last year? And we're getting the second one, huh? I mean, I'm excited. I really liked Criminal Girls, and I'm really happy to get to play the second one. Maybe they even grew up a little and kept the censorship out of... who am I kidding? They probably butchered the crap out of this game when it comes to censorship. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna play this game and enjoy it anyway. And if you don't know what Criminal Girls is already, then maybe you should do some research, because chances are you're gonna enjoy this game too. Alright guys, if you played Yokai Watch, or more realistically, if you skipped out on Yokai Watch, but you didn't like the Pokemon elements, or you didn't like how cute it was, whew, I've got a treat for you. In October, we're going to be graced with Yomawari Night Alone. I actually got to talk to the creator of this game, and trust me, there's so much to this game that you're going to love that I can't even explain it all to you. The premise alone should be enough to sell you. It is a survival game where you play as an adorable little girl who's trying to survive in a town filled with evil Japanese spirits that are trying to kill her. The cool thing is, if you know a bit about Japanese folklore, then you can actually use a lot of that knowledge to help you survive. And this isn't that mamby-pamby fake survival horror, where it's quote-unquote survival horror, but you actually just kill all the enemies so that there's nothing that's an actual threat to you. No, this is real survival, where you don't just kill everything that comes in your way, where you're actually helpless and you have to find a way to survive. Is your interest piqued? I sure hope so. You have 3 more months to join the hype train. Okay, very few people I know are openly excited for this next game. World of Final Fantasy is continuing the Dissidia trend by having all of the Final Fantasy characters come together in one universe. We've seen it in Dissidia, Duodecim, Curtain Call, and Exvius, and we've even seen it a little bit in Final Fantasy Explorers now. Listen up, guys. They got the voice actors to do this game. The gameplay and the story both look pretty cool. If you've been a huge Final Fantasy fan for a while, but you've been wary of all of these spin-off games that try to include all the characters, this is the point where I urge you to maybe reconsider. I really hope these words don't come back to bite me, but this game looks really, really good. It's cute, it's clever, it's got a very, very classic Final Fantasy style battle system. I really just don't see how they could possibly mess this game up. Knock on wood, guys. I hope it's good. Okay guys, yet another Neptunia game is coming out this year. This is one of the games that doesn't have an exact release date. It says fall 2016, so I'm actually going to ballpark it at about November. I'd probably say sometime between November 15th and the 20th. Now, I think it's funny, after all these spin-offs, we got an Idolmaster-like game, we got Senran Kagura-like game, we got an Onichanbara-like game, we got a Final Fantasy Tactics-like game. Super Dimension is just the regular old formula, but it's focusing on Sega franchises. I mean, alright guys, show me what you got. All in all, I think Neptune fans should at least be aware of this game's presence. I'm not sure if it's necessarily going to be quite as good or out of the box as some of the other games have been, but I do have one thing to say. Any game where I can just focus on how amazing Neptune is as a character is a game that I need to pick up and add to my collection. Alright guys, last but certainly not least on the list is Rabi Ribi. This game looks about as ridiculously Japanese as you can get, but it doesn't have an official release date yet. We might still be able to hit it on like a December late release, like December 30th or so, but it probably won't come out until 2017. However, there's a chance it will come out this year, so I'm going to put it on this list. Of all the types of JRPGs we normally get, a side-scroller Castlevania roguelike type game isn't something that we normally see. Now, I can't confirm for sure that it's a roguelike, but it definitely looks like a Metroidvania-style game. And I'll tell you guys, I haven't had one of those in a while, so I'm pretty interested to see what we get. Also, come on guys, come on. It looks pretty darn adorable. But with this adorable Metroidvania out of the way, it looks like we're at the end of our list. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, those things really do help us out. I had to cut this list down from about 40, so if there are any games that came out this year, or games that are coming out that you're excited about, please talk about them in the comment section below. Don't forget to include suggestions for future videos. And finally, subscribe to stay up to date on the latest NTR content. If you're one of my old fans that followed me here, thank you so much, that really means a lot to me, guys. And if you just found the channel, then welcome to NTR Gaming, guys. I hope I can entertain you in the future. Bye-bye!